what I love about doing these shows is I get an education. I get another person of incredible interest that I get to know and have a great conversation with. And my special guest today is Dr. Nicole Johnson. She's the president of ARAV, the Association of Reptilian and Amphibian Veterinarians. I don't think I've screwed that up yet. Usually I screw up that little.
Nope, you got it. You've had it the whole time. You've been doing great.
And let's hear your position on rattlesnakes. You told me you wanted to talk about your position on rattlesnakes. All I know about rattlesnakes is apparently there's rattlesnakes in New Jersey. I see warning signs. When I go to the Sourland to hike, it talks about warning signs, but I've never heard that or seen anything. And, you know, I only know what I've seen on TV.
Yeah, specifically, we really want to talk about rattlesnake roundups. So these are basically, they're events. They're coordinated events where, certain areas, and I hate to pick on Texas, but there's a big one down in Texas. And it is it's a big festival. And what they do is, it's kind of hard. It's hard, it's very hard for those of us to really talk and describe some of the things that happen at these festivals because, yes, they're rattlesnakes, but they're still, being reptile and amphibian vets, they're still very dear to our hearts. So, bear with me here. But they round up these rattlesnakes through various different ways, whether it's going into their communal dens. So rattlesnakes, they actually overwinter in a communal den. So you will literally have hundreds, thousands of rattlesnakes overwintering together. Wow. So they will go to these dens and they will chemicals, gasoline, set them on fire, flush out the rattlesnakes and round them up. That's why they're called rattlesnake roundups. And they will literally have, thousands of these rattlesnakes that they then, they start harvesting them over a period of several weeks. So these animals are basically then kept and piled into buckets and bins and totes and just, stuffed together for several weeks at a time while they're rounding everybody up. And then the festival begins. Some of these animals are unfortunately deceased by the time the festival starts from overcrowding, dehydration, starvation. They will have their mouths sewn shut so that the lay person can go ahead and handle them. No anesthesia is used. They are literally just sewn shut. Someone holds their mouth and they just sew their mouth closed. So most of these animals can't drink when that happens. So they don't do it to all of them, but they do it to enough of them that these animals, certainly several of them will succumb to the fact that, they get dehydrated and simply can't eat. They kill these animals in front of children. They will milk their venom to try to do something positive, but there's actually laws and regulations as far as collecting venom and the use for making anti-venom. So they'll milk these animals in front of people to show them how it's done, but it's not done in the proper way, so that venom can't even be turned around and used. So it's all for entertainment purposes. These animals will also be skinned live to show how to properly skin a rattlesnake. And at the end of all of this, thousands of rattlesnakes the end result is that they are all killed. They don't re-release anything into the wild. And so unfortunately, these are extremely painful, inhumane practices that are being done to these animals. There's not much that's brought to the public's attention to the fact that, this is wrong. Would you do this to a dog? Would you do this to the cat? We have shown through a lot of our research that these animals do have pain. And they do feel pain, at least similarly to how you and I feel it. So to do these things to them, it's heartbreaking. If you really sit down and think about it, would you do this to that, cat that just came in the door, or would you do it to, that poor little bird? And so many people, well, it's a rattlesnake, and that's not a justification. Yeah. So, our position on this is that these practices need to be banned and they need to be actually shut down.
So there has to be an origin to this. Is it because the rattlesnakes were affecting cattle or something? What is?
Yeah, that's a really great. Basically, I'm trying to kind of remember. It was really first half of the 20th century. Basically, it was kind of based on a misbelief that these guys are pests. And so they would just try to round them up and dispose of them and get them off their property. But the reality is that our rattlesnakes actually do have a major part in our ecological system. Their populations, if you are getting rid of all your rattlesnakes, then you're going to see a surge in your real pest problem, which is going to be, your small rodents, and even, to some extent, some other species as well. So there's a very delicate balance, and when we start killing off thousands, of numbers, then we're going to again create problems for our ecosystem, and we really need to think more about our long-term consequences as well.
And so what do organizers of the event say to people, being critical about the event? What's their response?
Gosh, that's an excellent question. I don't know that I really have seen some of those remarks. We're really just starting to touch the surface of this. A lot of what we see from them is they're trying to say they're educating. They're really not. It's tough to say you're educating when you're killing an animal, and they will even there's photos of having the kids paint on the wall with the snake's blood. I mean, explain to me how that's educating. Sure, you can educate how to properly remove a snake's skin for the intention of eating, but you're not going to do that alive. So if you're going to talk about educational purposes, then let's make it educational. Let's harvest them in an inhumane way. Let's talk about how they are beneficial to our ecosystem. Let's show kids to not be afraid of them. If we're going to have these festivals, let's do it right, and we're more than happy to partner and say, let's do this the right way. And if you still want to keep these festivals going, let's make them the way they should be. Let's make them better.
That's a great statement. And any rattlesnake wranglers out there, again, ARAV.org. You could probably contact Nicole directly. Nicole will be more than happy to talk.
All of our board members are on the website, so you can definitely find a way to reach out to us. If you have questions, concerns, we are more than happy to discuss that with you.
And it's all about education, people. I just got educated. I didn't even know this existed.
Education, conservation, research. We're very big on that.